What's up, everybody? My name is Dell. This is Dell on Movies. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you've been here before, thanks for hanging out with me again. And tonight we have episode 38 of Movie Swap. Hard to believe that we're getting to almost 40 of these things already. We just started this journey early this year. Been having a blast, and that's going to continue tonight. My guest tonight is somebody who showed up a few months back. She showed up in a lot of people's streams, supporting a lot of people. She's been on Instagram for a while and she's become a friend to all of us. She started her own channel a little while back. We might talk a little bit about that. But we all love her. We all know her as Caprice, but we also recognize the name when it comes up. I'm talking about Draculina horror. How you doing, Caprice?
I'm doing good. Hi, everybody. How are you? So excited to be here tonight. I've been waiting all week to do this. So,
All right, cool, cool. I'm so happy you're here. I'm glad. It's been a long time since I've wanted to have you on the channel. I first came across you, I believe, on conversation with KB about I don't know how many months ago was that,
God, I think that was actually,
or was that last year even?
that was last year. That was the end of last year, very end of it.
Okay,
Very end.
okay,
I think that was, it might have been December, January. I would have to go and look back. But yeah, it's been some time since me and KB had our first conversation.
okay, okay. Time passes quick because
It does.
sometimes, yeah, I don't even realize how long has been past. Even my own channel, I'm like, man, I've had a channel for more than a year. I don't know where did that time go. It's crazy.
Exactly. Time flies when you're having fun, though. Time flies when you're having.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is, of course, it's spooky time. So I'm gonna ask you a spooky time question. Uh, what is your favorite subgenre of horror? I know you're a big horror fan. What's your favorite subgenre?
Hmm. As much as it's my, you know, it, so I would have to say my favorite subgenre is actually body horror, even though it's the one that messes with me the most. Uh, it, it's one of those things where like I'm watching it, but I want to look away, but I can't. So I would
Okay.
have to say subgenre would probably be, yeah, it would probably be body horror with psychological horror being a very, very close second.
Okay. So for body horror, you got any favorites?
Uh, the the one that I have the hardest time with, I mean, uh, a lot of people out in the community could tell you that I've seen a lot of it. I've seen Serbian film multiple times. I've seen Martyrs multiple times. Um, I would have to say though the one that had the biggest effect on me was probably The Girl Next Door. Um, it's not anywhere near as hardcore as like Serbian film or Martyrs or anything like that. But it didn't need to be.
Okay.
It was based on a true story of this girl. She goes to live with her aunt and all of her cousins who just happen to be boys, and it's just a messed up scenario. She's got a sister that's a little bit handicapped, and just some stuff goes down in that story. And the fact that it was based off of true incidences, that one messed with me pretty bad. I was kind of going through the motions for a couple of days, but it was such a great made movie, and I it it's like I said earlier, it's one of the ones that I love, but I also wanted to look away so bad and I couldn't. um I just had to finish the movie and I had to know how it ended, and it didn't end on a happy scenario like at all. And so, I mean, I hate to say it's my favorite, but out of all of them, it was the one that had the biggest effect on me, and it's the one that I kind of have really high up there on the list. So yeah, I would say Girl Next Door. think I lost. I lost him. I think we lost out. He did, Cody. He was like, "No, that's not my cup of tea." Let's see. Yes, Walter. Serbian film is a hard one to get past. Though once you get past it that first time, a lot of the time people are like, okay, that I've seen it. I've like had enough of it. Um, and I get a lot of crap for watching Serbian film as much as I have. Um, but I will say though, it was such a beautifully made movie. The cinematography in that movie, the score, um, the story itself, everything about it was so appealing to me, even though the imagery is absolutely just out there. And half the time you're glued to the screen, but again, like you want to look away, but you can't. Like it's one of those scenarios. Like I hate to say it, I've seen it that many times because then automatically people look at me and they're like, you've seen it how many times? Like, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Nothing's wrong with me, I swear. It's just one of those movies I've seen it multiple times. Laren, hi, Laren. Apparently it's turned into the show. I'm just waiting for my buddy Dale to come back. Um, Hopefully it does. I'm okay, Dale. Sorry guys, my house just lost Wi-Fi. I hope I have it. Okay. Um, I'll be here if she does. If she does. Have you seen Girl Next Door, Laren? Not the funny, romantic comedy. I'm talking about the true story horror movie. But that's funny though. Lisa Cuthbert put on an amazing performance. Besides movies, do you read any horror authors? I agree the film is not amazing, but the subject matter is perfect. Yeah, the subject matter is terrible, but the thing about Serbian film, the director actually created that movie based off of some real stuff that was going on over in Europe in the early 2000s. So in a way, that movie is also based off of some true facts.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about
Why?
that.
It's okay. We just got on a tangent about the Serbian film.
Okay, cool. My whole house, everybody was just out all of a sudden. Um, it's amazing. It doesn't really happen during the week too often, but then as soon as I get started on here, something goes wrong.
It's
Um,
okay. We were
we
cool.
when I popped out, we were talking about Girl Next Door,
Yes.
and I hadn't seen that one, and I don't think I want to see a Serbian film, so I'm gonna skip by that one.
Yeah.
I have
It just
seen Martyrs though. Martyrs, I'm a fan of. I did like that. Did enjoy that
Martyr,
movie.
the original Martyrs. I
Yes.
did like the remake. The remake to me was not as good at all. But that original Martyrs, that one is high up there for me. Um, but yeah, Girl Next Door, yeah, that one has kind of like a little place in my heart. So
Okay.
um,
I haven't seen the Martyrs remake, so I don't know if I'm going to. I've heard nothing but bad things about it.
it's not, it doesn't even touch the original like at all. To me, they're two completely different movies that aren't even the same thing. They're just named the same. Like they're not even close.
Okay. Okay.
Don't even
Um.
bother.
That's fine by me. I don't have to see it. So if I can skip
Yeah,
out on it, I'll skip out on it. No big deal. Yeah,
that's
that's Yeah, that's cool with me. All right. Let's go ahead and get into the chat since we lost a few minutes here. Let's see who's
good.
out there with us. I was saying before I got kicked out that Emmett was with us. And Emmett
Yeah.
started off with the question, do you have People Under the Stairs 1991? And interestingly enough, Emmett, I actually just picked it up a couple weeks ago,
I own
last
it as
month.
well. It's upstairs.
Yeah, so I've watched it, but I haven't watched it in probably 20 years, so I can't really tell you much about it anymore. I'm gonna have to rewatch it.
It's a great one. Great cult classic.
Yes. Laren, Caprice, and Dell. What's going on, Laren?
My favorite.
Walter Jones is here. I haven't seen Walter in a while. Walter, he says hi, Dell, hi, Caprice.
We were talking and while you were gone.
That's cool. And Cody is here. He says, "What's up, everyone? Don't forget to roundhouse kick that like button." Yes, absolutely.
That's Cody.
Mika is here. Says, "Hi, everyone. Wanted to say hi, hey to my girl Caprice. We always appreciate Mika. Her and Kiro on
Mm-hmm.
recently.
I was watching that one. I had to watch the replay on that one, but I love it. I love those two so much. I
Oh,
love
they're
everything.
awesome.
So I had to watch the replay, but I watched it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Laren coming back. He's saying hey to Lepke, who is Cody, and Cody saying hi to him. So we got some back and forth. And just like I said, Emma's question is, what was your favorite part of People on the Stairs, and what's your thoughts on it? Do you have any favorite parts or thoughts on that? Because like I said, I haven't seen it in probably 20 years.
And it's been a while for me too, but it's actually a really great one. I don't have a favorite part. I just enjoy the movie in general. Like I said, it's been a while. I would have to rewatch it. I actually do have it on a rewatch list for this month. It's there's like a list of 6 or 7 movies that I gotta watch before the end of the month, and that one's actually on there as a rewatch. So once I rewatch it, well, there I will let you know if I
Okay,
have a favorite part.
I'm planning on getting back to it this month. Also, we'll see how that goes. I hope I can do it. If not, I'll watch it soon enough. Adrian is in the building. What's going on, Adrian? He says hello there, Dell and Caprice. Cody talking about the girl next door. Says the girl next door is such a sad story that makes me so mad.
Right? Yeah, it does.
Now the one I saw, the girl next door had was it Emma Hirsch was in it, I think, but it was not a horror movie. This was the girl next door was like a porn star, and he was started dating
Yeah, it
her.
was like a romantic comedy. Yeah, we were talking about that too in the in the chat.
Okay,
Not that version. This is something completely different. Um, yeah, completely like polar opposite of romantic comedy to this. There's just no
okay,
connection. But they do have the same title, so when I say that, sometimes people are like, "That's a comedy." Like, what are you
right,
talking
right.
about?
I knew both movies were out there, but I know that I
Mhm.
hadn't seen the horror version.
Yes,
All right, Walter says Serbian film is the most insane film I've heard.
it is.
The
It
true
is.
story is so sickening from Cody,
It's a true story.
and
Yeah.
he's had enough of that. He pieced out. No, that's not what happened. He's holding it down. I'm gonna have to watch the replay to hear you guys' conversation.
It was good. I was like, oh shit, we lost him. Like it's just me. So I just started reading the chat and I just went with it. I don't.
That'll work. That'll work. So I'm just reading it for myself the first time. I'm gonna skip a lot of the highs back and forth. And there you go, poor Caprice, you're hosting the show now. You were hosting the show.
I'm hosting the
And
show.
yep, Walter. Besides movies, do you read any horror authors? I agree, the film was shot amazingly, but the subject matter is terrible. Do you read any horror authors? And or did I miss that? Was that something you guys talked about?
Oh, he asked me what we were gonna get in. Like I was gonna answer that second part, but you came back on. I don't have any specific horror authors that I read. I do read horror books, just not a specific author. Of course, everyone's gonna throw out Stephen King and things like that. There's a book that I'm reading right now. It's called I hate that I forget the name of the author. It's Mark something, and it's called The House of Leaves. It's a psychological horror book. I'm really enjoying it. I'm not done with it yet though, but I really like it. So if anybody wants a book recommendation, House of Leaves. The author's name is Mark something. It starts with a Z. I just don't remember it. It's Mark Zil. Yeah, I can't place it, but it's called House of Leaves.
All right, it is Oh, I thought I just had it. Hold on. House of Leaves by Mark Z.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
Danieluski. Danieluski. It looks like Mark Z.
Yeah,
Danieluski.
yeah, mine seems. Yeah, that one. It's I'm I'm only like 4 chapters in. It's a pretty thick book, but it's so good so far. It's a
Okay.
trip.
I need to do more reading. I haven't read much, at least much for pleasure anyway. I've you read things you got to read for work and
Hmm.
things here and there, but I haven't really read much for pleasure for quite a while. I need to get back into it. Um, and Laren is, yep, Elisha Cuthbert gave an excellent performance, an amazing performance.
Yeah.
I think he's on the same movie I was on. Nope, I haven't, but you're making me want to for sure. I guess he's talking about what he's reading or what he's watching. Yep, I was back. I haven't seen Smirk in a little bit. Smirk, he says, "Good evening, Dell and Caprice." Hey, Smirk. And Mika, appreciate the love. Right back at you.
Where's my darling?
And Mika says, "I'll have House of Leaves. I'll add House of Leaves to my reading list." I'm guessing is what she actually meant. So, all right. So we'll stop right there for with the chat. We'll come back see if anybody else pops in. But let's go ahead and get into these movies, Caprice. What did you make me watch?
So, out of the movies that I gave for Dell, the recommendation that he chose from me was In the House of Madness by John Carpenter. It's a story about a private investigator who's actually played by Sam Neill from Jurassic Park. He's a private investigator for a big insurance company that employs him to find an horror author that has gone missing named Sutter Kane. Um, this movie is about his investigation and what happens through his investigation. Some wild and crazy things that transpire, basically, in this movie to this poor investigator while he's searching for what happened to this author. Um, I chose this movie because you either love this movie or you absolutely hate this movie. I won't say what my feelings are on this movie until after Dell tells his, but this is the reason why I chose this. So, Dell.
Okay. All right. So we'll get to the feelings in a bit. Let's kind of chop it up for a little bit.
Hmm.
And first thing that I thought of when I started watching it was that it felt, and I didn't look up to see if what it was based on, but it felt a lot like Lovecraft, H.P.
It does.
Lovecraft.
The story is actually labeled as a Lovecraftian sci-fi horror movie. And I totally feel that with this movie, especially with the subject matter and some of the things that you're seeing. I can definitely see the influence in that for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Because as soon as it started, and when you get all these monsters start coming out, and the way the story is being told in kind of a flashback, and
Yes.
through most of it, I was like, "Oh yeah, we're." I wondered if it was Lovecraft, but I didn't want to stop the movie and kind of look it up
Mhm.
or anything. Um,
Mhm.
so right off the bat, we like I said, we meet this guy, Sam Neill. Sam Neill's playing this guy, and it's like an insurance investigator, and they want to find, like you said, they want to find out where Sutter Kane went to, this really popular horror author,
Yeah.
and
He's like the best of the best. What was the line in the movie? She says, "Forget Stephen King. He outsells them all." So
yeah,
this is
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the author of all horror authors.
Yeah, he came up with some crazy number of the last book that he sold, number of copies that he sold. So
Hmm.
they wanted to drive that point home that this guy was like really super popular.
Yes.
Um, the part that kind of drew me into the movie was when he's first asked about the case. When Sam Neill's character's first asked about the case, and
Yes.
they're sitting in the diner or the restaurant or whatever it is, and he's sitting there with his boss.
Yeah.
And Bernie Casey, by the way, plays his boss. Shout out to Bernie Casey. um, and just all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, it's like madness,
Yeah,
basically.
madness
Yeah.
basically breaks out. And so is that the point where you kind of get into the movie, or are you in even before that?
Um, for me, honestly, that opening scene where you first see Sam Neill and he's covered his room in all these permanent marker crosses. He's covered in permanent marker crosses. And, you've never really seen Sam Neill like that. And you're kind of just like, you don't know why, because you're just automatically taken to the scene where the guy's going into the room and it's just looking like that. Yep, there it is. And you're just kind of like, what is going on? So that scene alone caught my attention because it's just like they kind of started off not giving you anything. And you're just seeing well, what you find out later, what is the aftermath of everything that he's gone through. And that's how he ended up there. But yeah, just seeing him, the way that they had like everything on his face, on his clothes, and he's sitting there smoking the cigarette and he said, "Are you wondering my story?" And the guy's kind of like, "What happened, man?" And then it takes you into that shot where you're finding out what he does for a living and all that stuff. That opening scene is the one that really got me. And it really held my attention because I wanted to know why he looked like why he was in a patty room covered in crosses.
I hear you. I hear you. And I think the reason I didn't quite get all the way into it right then and there was really Sam Neill bias. And not that I
Mm-hmm.
dislike Sam Neill.
Mm-hmm.
I just since the 90s, I see him and it's like, oh, Jurassic Park is playing.
Of course.
And that's the first thing I think
Yeah,
of. So it
of
took me a
course.
second to kind of get past that.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen Sam Neill in horror movies before. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the movie Possession. He's in
I'm
that
familiar with
movie.
it, but I haven't seen it. Yeah.
It's also another kind of religious horror Lovecraftian type movie. Um, so I was familiar with his, I've kind of familiarized myself with not saying, oh yeah, just Jurassic Park, because I've seen him in like these other like kind of weird horror movies. But no, I've had a few people tell me they're just like, yeah, whenever I see him, I just think Alan Grant. Like,
Right. Right. So it took me a second because of that. But I will say this though, his is a performance that, and maybe partly because of how I started, but it feels like it gets better as the movie goes on. And he
it
just
does,
keeps,
it does.
yeah, he keeps pulling you in and keeps pulling you in to the movie. So I really appreciated his work in that manner. So first time you watch it, um, were you confused at all?
To be completely honest, though, I had to watch this movie like two times before I was confident enough to be like, okay, yeah, this is what's going on. Um, I'd say the part that kind of lost me a little bit. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead or anything like that. Was the part where the not Sam Neill's character, I forget, I'm spacing on her name, but the lady who was with him, the other lady who actually worked for the book company, the editor, the
Yeah.
lady, when she first goes in and sees Sutter Kane and they start talking, and then, all of a sudden, like a port, it's a door, but it's a portal, really. That's the part that kind of dragged a little bit for me. So then I kind of lost where I was at. I was kind of like, wait, what just happened? Was
Right.
that an alternate reality? Is she dreaming? Like, I kind of got lost. Um, but it quickly came back. I came back around. By the time Sam Neill came back into it, I was pretty okay.
Okay.
Um, but that second time around, I was a little bit more familiar, so I didn't get lost as much.
Right.
But
I just looked it up. Yeah, her name was Styles. They
that,
called her
there
Styles
you
all the
go.
time. That was actually her last name. I just found that out. Her first name was Linda.
Mhm.
But let's talk about her. What did you think about her?
Um, I liked her. Um, but I was just so to me personally, I feel like she kind of gets left on the wayside just because of how good Sam Neill's performance is. So like
Okay.
whenever they're like on screen together, I feel like he kind of dominates the screen and she's just kind of as a side, she's just kind of there. Like
Okay.
this like the scene where they're going to the into the town, they're in the car, she's asleep, he's driving, she wakes up from having a dream and she asks where they're going. He says we're going into this town and she starts to like slap him like or she smacks him at one point. She's like, "This is the name of the town is not real." And he says, "Well, we're going there, so it has to be real." And so little like that little scene right there, like that was the only time I feel like she kind of stuck out. Other than that, her performance personally for me was kind of weak.
Okay.
Um, I feel like Sam Neill is the dominant actor in this movie. Um, yeah, I liked her. I'm not saying that she did an awful job. I just feel like her performance wasn't as strong as his, and I feel like he just kind of dominates the movie even when he's not in the scene.
Okay. And I for me, I think that I think how good he is makes her look less by comparison. Because I thought she was pretty good, but yeah, like you said, he
Yes.
does dominate the screen all through the movie. So
Yeah.
it's it was she wasn't gonna look but so good, and she wasn't like it wasn't a towering performance by her. It was good performance.
Mm.
As far as her character goes, I was having a hard time making heads or tails of what she was there for, or what her motivation was.
Yeah.
Sometimes she was, and I think they did it that way purposely. She was
They
kind of
did.
playing both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
One on one end, she's doing what the publisher wants, and on the other thing, she's trying to help out our hero,
Yeah.
and they didn't always seem to be
Side.
uh, coincide with each other with what
Yeah.
needed to be done. So I
Yeah.
was having a hard time making heads or tails of her, and I thought that actually served the movie pretty good because it didn't make it too predictable or anything like that for me.
Yeah. No, the beauty of this movie is no matter how you look at it, it's chaotic. It's organized, unorganized chaos. It's one thing makes sense one moment, the next minute you're questioning whether what you were thinking about the minute before is correct or if you're just lost. That's the beauty of this movie.
Yes, yes, I will agree. It plays with reality a lot.
Yes, it does.
I like that. It plays with time a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, and the townspeople kind of help keep the ball rolling a bit. What'd you
Yeah.
think about the townsfolk?
You know, they were creepy but cool at the same time.
Uh,
Like I enjoyed the town people like a lot. Um and it was funny because the town people were completely different but so similar to the people in the city prior hand. Like
okay.
it was interesting to watch the town people though. I actually preferred the town people compared to the crazies that were in the city before. But
Uh
they
huh.
even though they were the crazies, like they were the more normals. They were the I wouldn't say
Okay.
normal, but
I, I understand, and I hadn't looked at it that way, and I've only seen it the one time, so and I
mm,
didn't look at it that way, so that is a good perspective for me to think about it from,
mm-hmm.
and now when you put it out there, it's like yeah, the ones in the city they were just batshit
Active
insane,
chaos.
right?
Yes.
But the ones that were in this little town, they seemed to act more normal, but they
Mm,
were
but they don't.
definitely off. Something was definitely off
Yes,
about
yes.
what was happening. Let's check in with the chat, see if anybody has anything to say about In the Mouth of Madness. And Mika says, I actually have not seen In the Mouth of Madness, surprisingly.
Wow, Mika. Wow. I'm surprised. I'm surprised, Mika. Wow.
We always think of Mika and Kira having seen everything, but
I know. In my head, they've seen everything. So whenever I mention something, I'm like, oh yeah, they've seen it. And
yeah.
then they'll be like, no, I haven't seen it. And then I'm just like blown away. Like, oh my God, I've seen something they haven't seen. That's not right. Like,
Walter, nice. What a fantastic film for Della watch. It was the second DVD I ever bought. Love it.
Hmm.
I cannot remember the first DVD or second DVD I ever bought. That's for sure. How about you? Can you remember those things?
The first DVD I bought, well, I didn't actually buy it. My mother bought it. And we were at Hollywood Video, and we were the like 20th person that day to go in and rent Titanic on VHS. And so they were like, "Oh, you're the 20th person to come in and rent this today. So do you want to get this on DVD or on VHS?" And we were like, "You're giving us a movie?" Like, so it was Titanic, weirdly enough.
Okay, that's cool. All right,
Hmm.
Laren, love this movie. You explained the plot a lot better than I did on KB recently. It's a tough plot to explain. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of like, "They'll bring me back yet."
Walter Possession. Yes, I loved Isabella Ashanti. What an
Oh
amazing
my
film about
god.
the torture and
Oh
hell
my
of divorce.
god. Yes. Oh, that scene. Walter, you know what I'm talking about. The scene in the subway. It, masterclass. Masterclass. That scene scarred me for a while. That scene was amazing, and it's not talked about enough.
I have to see it because I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Isabella
Walter knows his stuff.
Ajani, I guess he corrected the name. Okay,
Oh.
that works.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Laren Neal was also in Carpenter's Memoirs of an Invisible Man just a year before Jurassic Park. I have not seen that either.
That's a good one too. You should add that to your list.
So, everybody's been talking about John Carpenter a lot this particular
Yeah.
October with Carpenter Fest, so on those things going on. So I looked at his filmography. I've seen maybe half of his movies, and it's like the bigger half. So Halloween and Thing and things like that I've seen, but not a lot of the other things. So
Yeah.
I've
This
got
is
some
also
catching up to do.
why this is also why I like to recommend this movie, because it's not one of the more known ones. It's known, but not really. People don't talk about it a lot,
Right.
and so it's kind of overshadowed. But I feel like more people need to see it, even though it's like I said, you either love it or you hate it. It's one of those. But it's
Okay.
definitely a Carpenter movie that you need to see because it's different than anything that he's really ever done. In a sense, it's part of his mo, and then the other part you're kind of just like, what was he going through at the time? Like, what
Yeah.
was he on?
I had heard of it when it came out, and I knew the title. I was familiar with the title. I just, for one reason or another, didn't get a chance to see it. Um, I'm not sure why. Definitely want to check this one out. Mika says.
Yeah,
Cal is here. What's going on, Cal? He says, "Hey, everyone."
doing
Everyone's
fun.
favorite version of Superman.
Of course.
Terminator 1, first one.
Hmm.
I'm not sure what was. Did we have a question about that, or
I
not
think
sure
that
what's.
was the I think that was the first DVD he bought.
Oh, first DVD. But
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's a good one.
Yeah, that's
Terminator.
the next. Yeah, that is his next one. DVD. Yes, first DVD. Terminator. All right, that's a good one. I'm a big fan of that one. All right, so we just got some haze going on.
Body
Body
bag.
bags. The
Yes.
one. So
Hmm.
let's briefly. I haven't seen body bags either, but that was one of the ones you recommended, right?
Was, and deep down, I thought that's the one that you were gonna pick. I really did. I'm like, if he hasn't seen it, he's gonna pick body bags. But you threw me for a loop, and you chose this one instead.
Yeah, I chose this one. I chose In the Mouth of Madness because I'm more familiar with the title. I've heard of body bags, but I was more familiar with In the Mouth of Madness. I was like, okay, that
Body bags is another great one. That's an anthology. It's got three stories in it. Um, that's a good
okay.
one. It's a good one.
I will definitely check it out. I'll be honest, I'm kind of hit or miss on horror anthologies. It's
Hmm.
like some are really good and some are really bad. So we'll
Of
see.
course, of course.
Thanks. It's pleasure to be your favorite Superman. Absolutely,
Yeah.
Cal. Man. All right. So let's get back to this
Mhm.
one. So there was about halfway through, well, probably more than halfway. We're getting
Oh,
into the third act now, really, where
mhm.
Sam Neill's character, he's figuring it out,
Yeah.
but he's trying to escape. He's trying to get out of this town. And there was one scene in particular that, you know, just kind of made me shake my head a little bit. And not
Hmm.
that it was poorly done or anything, because I kind of understand, but I disagree with what the character did. So
Hmm.
I'm this part I'm gonna spoil. I don't want to spoil the whole movie, but this
Yeah.
part, this little detail,
Good.
I'm gonna spoil a little bit. So
It might be
he
the that I'm kind of about to.
okay, if it's not, just let me know what it is, and we'll go down that one. We'll go down that road too. All right.
Hmm.
So for this one, he's trying to escape this town, and he gets in the car, and he goes one way, and he's having some trouble getting out. He turns back the other way, and he's got all these people surrounding him. All these I don't want to call them zombies, but they're creatures and monsters around surrounding him, and he's already found out something about the person he's
Yeah.
been with this whole time. And this person pops out in the middle of the road, and he swerves the car to miss this person, and then I think he hit a tree.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, 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 dude, you stomp on the gas and you go right through that
Right?
person. So are you we the same on that?
Man, yeah. If it was me, run over. Like that's it. I'm sorry, you're getting run over. You're in my way. Let's go. No, exactly. No, that's the scene where I was kind of like, why did you do that?
Exactly, exactly.
Why?
And
Because
it, the funny thing is, I watched this by myself, so
oh, okay.
I was in my bedroom watching it. I've told people before, my wife doesn't really do horror, and my daughter was away at school at the time, so I'm kind of on
Hmm.
my own watching this. And there's nobody in the room, and I just verbally was like, "No, why'd you do that? No, are you crazy? Yeah, you got to go straight through that person."
You
But
gotta go straight through. You gotta just, yeah, that was one that's one of the ones that just pisses me off just all the time. Like every time I've watched it, I'm like,
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly. Do you want to share the other one?
hmm?
Do you want to share the other one that kind of pisses you off a bit, or was that
The
it?
other one, it's that one, and then the the scene in the bookstore when he's gonna go buy when he's buying the books to read them. You
Yeah.
know, he runs into the one guy and he's like, he sees all. He sees all. And he's looking at him, and you can totally see that the dude's eyes are messed up. You know, they have the um I forget how you call it, but they're not round. They're like weird and splattered.
Uh,
Why are you just looking at this man like, okay,
yeah, it should
let
have
him
been.
know that I said hi. But you know how fast I would have been out? I like
Oh
as
yeah,
soon as
yeah,
I was
alarm
looking at him,
bells,
he's
right?
saying that he could see all and he can see me. Like, what are
Oh
you
yeah,
doing?
I'm with
Sometimes
you.
you sometimes you watch these horror movies and you're just screaming at the TV and you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
But if we did
it's
that half the time, we wouldn't have the horror movie. So,
yeah, it's funny though. Some movies I do that with, and I'm fine with it, and then other movies I'm like, no, this is too stupid. I can't do it.
mm, yeah, I've had a couple of those this month where I'm just like, oh, why? I
Yeah,
want.
it's a fine line. It is definitely a fine line. Um, a strong suit of this movie. There's a few of them, but a strong suit of this movie for me, going back to the whole Lovecraftian thing, was just the visuals and the way they presented things and the way it kept you on your toes. You didn't always know what was coming up next, or
Mm-hmm.
if you were if it was really happening, or was he dreaming or imagining it, or it kept you guessing whether you were coming or going, and I really did enjoy that aspect of the movie. Does
Yes,
that work for you also?
it does. You know, one of my favorite parts of this movie is the little details that you kind of have to look for. But one of the ones that was kind of just out in plain sight is when he, gets stuck in that time loop and he's constantly passing by that wall with the Sutter Kane Mouth of Madness posters on it, and he'll rip it and
Hmm.
it'll show you basically what's like the future, like what's going to happen next. I always really like liked those little details about it, because if you're really not paying attention, you're gonna miss that. But every time he rips the poster, it's literally about what's gonna happen in the near future. And that last tear, you kind of see that he ends up on the cover of the book. And when he, that last part where he's with Sutter Kane, and Sutter Kane's like, "You didn't exist until I wrote you." And he's like, "No, no, that's not true. That's not real." Like, he's kind of tripping. And then when he wakes up and he goes out for that last part, when he's passing by that alleyway and he passes by that wall and rips the paper, it's the cover of the book.
Yes.
And so I was kind of like, "Oh," like it, like it
Yeah.
all kind of made sense in that point for me. I was like, "Oh, he was right. Like, he was right. He's not lying. It's not fake." But it's the little things about this movie, the little tiny details that make everything come together. So at the end, you're not just like, "What the hell just happened?" It's the tiny
Right.
little things. It's not the obvious things that they're throwing at you. It's the little tiny things.
Yeah, and there are a lot of little tiny things that just keep
A
popping
lot.
up all the way through the movie that kind of keep us going and keep us interested. So it's not a horror movie with like a huge body count or a bunch of action scenes or anything like that.
No.
All those small things just keep adding up and keep making it interesting to watch all the way through. So I
Mm-hmm.
did definitely appreciate that. And where's my mouse? Up, there we go. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and check in with the chat one more time before we give our final thoughts on this movie, and then we'll put it to bed. And we left off on Mr. Cal. They're back. Where is Cal? Up. We have someone at our door, Caprice. We have someone at our door. So let's see who is there.
At our door.
Yes, someone is at the door. And up I thought there was somebody there.
What's up, party people?
There
What's
we
going
go.
on?
What's
Kylie?
going on, Mr. KB?
Just finished my live stream. I figure I'd check in, see what you guys are doing, what the movie swap is about. I see it right below me. So, uh, really good one. Really good one. How we doing tonight?
We're doing good. So I'm letting Caprice kind of soak it in here.
I
Yeah.
know.
What's
Yeah.
up, sunshine?
Hi.
So, I wanted to pop in here really quickly because a little birdie told me that when I was on for my second movie swap, you were supposed to drop in. What happened with that?
The baby was born.
That's right. It
The
was
baby.
that night.
Yeah.
Okay. That takes priority. That takes priority.
Yeah. So I had my sister had told us early in the morning that, she was going to the hospital. She was starting to have contractions, and so I was looking at my clock, because she was supposed to actually have a scheduled C-section that day. So I
Hmm.
was kind of like, okay, if she has it in the morning, like, I'm not going to be there all day. I could get back and be there in time. Her C-section didn't end up happening until like 3:30.
Oof.
We didn't get to see her until almost 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So literally, like, I had told Dell, I was like, "I'm gonna play it by ear that day. If I can come in, I'm gonna come in like last minute." And so when I got to the hospital, I was looking at my phone. I'm like, "Man, there's no way I'm getting out of here by 6 o'clock," because I hadn't even heard like what was going on with her yet. But
Hmm.
yes, I was supposed to be there. Yes, yes.
It's the thought that counts, and
If the
blessings on the new family member. That ranks. That ranks. So
yeah,
you
no,
got a good movie here tonight. That's a good one.
we do. We
Yeah.
do. I'm waiting to hear
Levels,
how.
levels to that movie for sure.
KB, you got any thoughts on it?
I think it's slept on, man. There's so many different Carpenter movies. that, people immediately think of. Of course, the Halloweens and the things. And I saw Christine and the Fog this weekend on the big screen at Carpenter Fest. So, the ones that people think of immediately, but then they forget things like vampires. They forget things like Mouth of Madness. And, you know, based on the writing, some of them are really, really well done, but it's all Carpenter. So you get the music, you get the man, you get the direction. So
Yeah.
there's always something there that will keep you entertained for sure. But yeah, this is one worth a couple of rewatches because it is so deep. There's so many levels to it. It's more than a Stephen King ripoff, like some people talk about it that way. They even mention him in the movie. But
Yeah.
yeah, Sutter Kane is the man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is the man for sure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
Do you read Sutter Kane?
Yeah,
Dude.
exactly, right? That was interesting. So I'm gonna you gonna hang out for a while, or you gotta go?
I want to hang out and hear your final thoughts on it for sure.
Okay, sure. I'm just gonna run through the chat here real quick.
Yep, yep.
Uh, Before I get to those, Steve Moody is in the building. So he's saying howdy. What's going on, Steve? Laren, they're telling me I would really enjoy Body Bags. It came up that I had not seen Body Bags yet. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
Um, I don't. I've forgotten more movies than I remember seeing. I might have seen it.
Cal says In the Mouth of Madness is a sequel to The Thing. Believe it or not, it's part of the apocalyptic trilogy. Okay,
Oh,
so
you
it's
got to
not
break
really
that down.
not a direct sequel, kind of a spiritual sequel kind of thing, like
Yeah.
like Old Boy and Lady Vengeance kind of thing.
Right, right.
Kalsa, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's The Thing, Prince of Darkness, and Mouth of Madness. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am.
Okay, I could see that. I could see that.
Makes
Good
sense.
movies. Good movies.
Mika, yes, hit the person head on. We were talking about this scene where Sam Neill's character swerves his car instead of going right through the crowd of people. I think it's our reaction to swerve. I almost took myself out trying to avoid a squirrel the other day.
Yeah, you're not
You know,
supposed to do that.
not supposed to do that. Not
Mhm.
supposed
No.
to do that. I had a squirrel run directly under my tire. I mean, he timed it up perfect as I was driving by. I was like, poor guy, but hey, this is a
Time to
one
go.
lane.
Too many kids at home.
Yeah,
It's
this is
easy to
one
take
lane
your
road
life
right here.
sometimes. As a squirrel.
Yeah. See, that's the best part. Caprice screaming at the TV. Yeah, absolutely.
God, you don't even know.
Right.
And
yell
Steve
so
says, it's KB. What a nice surprise, says Mika.
much.
Laren also. So everybody's noticing that you definitely jumped onto their screens,
Yep.
into the screen.
Everybody came over from my live stream over here, so good to see
That'll
you all
work.
again.
Yep. Mika definitely will be one I watch more than once, appears to be recommended.
Yeah.
And that is a perfect place for me to jump into my overall thoughts on the movie. So you talked about the writing, KB, when you came in, and that is kind of where I want to pick it up. Is the writing I thought was really really well done uh, for this story, and it set Carpenter up. You mentioned Carpenter. You get the director with the music and the vision and all this that and the thing, but the foundation was a strong one, and it allowed him to play with us visually and play with the notion of time and reality. And so I really did enjoy that. Sam Neill's performance, we talked to Caprice earlier. I thought it just got stronger as the movie went on, and that was greatly appreciated. And then the other parts of the story that came into play with the people in the city, like you talked about, and then the townspeople, and then the people that worked in the asylum where he was. So all of those aided the story. So in the end, I really did enjoy this movie. I do need to watch it again, as you said, and as a lot of people have already said, because you just miss things. There's so much happening in this movie. You're gonna miss things. You're just not gonna get it all the first time. So I'm looking forward to a second watch on this movie, and I am glad that you recommended it to me. But I'm gonna kick it back towards you because you actually said that you were gonna hold off giving your actual thoughts until I gave mine. So go ahead, Caprice.
Mhm. No, so this is actually a movie that I do love. I do love this movie. But will I say that it's not completely loaded and that you have to watch it a couple of times before you're going to get it? Definitely. You're going to have to watch it maybe once or twice before you finally see all the little details that we were talking about earlier, everything that kind of ties it together. It's going to be one of those movies that you're going to watch, and every time you watch it, you're going to find something new. And that's just a fact. There's so much going on in this movie, and you're kind of dealing with a couple of different jumps from different dimensions into different places with different scenes. You're going to miss something, and that's okay. You just have to watch it one or two times before, I think probably maybe two, before you're kind of fully solid on what you just saw. Um, I definitely recommend this movie to everybody, but it's like I said earlier, you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. And that's why when you told me that this was going to be the one that you were going to watch, I was really excited to be like, okay, is this going to be one that Dell is going to love, or is Dell going to hate this? Like you, you, you have to kind of be into that kind of Lovecraftian type to kind of love and appreciate this movie. And a lot of people are not about that Lovecraftian life. They're just like, there's too much going on here. I'm lost. I don't know what's going on. So it's not a lot of people's cup of tea. But I'm really glad that you actually ended up liking it and that you noticed a lot of the same little details that I did the first time I watched it.
Yeah, I think it so happens to, I think things happen for a reason at the time that they're supposed to happen. So this is a movie that if I had seen it way back when it came out, I might not have enjoyed as much. One, I was a teenager when it came out, and I might not have gotten it. I might
Yeah.
not have stuck with it. I might have been just like you were saying, like, hey, this is kind of confusing. I don't know where this is. Porky's. Let's watch that again. So that might have been my kind of deal. Something easy, something digestible that goes
Mhm.
down smooth. Uh, as we've gotten older, we get more mature, and I've seen so many movies now at this point, things that are different from the norm are more
Mhm.
appealing than they once were.
Yeah. I
So
agree with
I think this was a good time for me to see this movie.
you. This is definitely not a movie that I would be like, oh, you've never seen a John Carpenter movie before? Well, watch this one first. Like, definitely not.
No,
But
not this, not first.
definitely one that I would, somebody who's seen Carpenter movies before, who's at least somewhat familiar, seen maybe half the filmography, maybe hasn't dabbled in this one yet, then I'd be like, for sure, see him do something different at this point. This is, watch this one. It's not something I would be like, oh yeah, first timer, let's go, let's watch some weird stuff. Like definitely,
Yeah, yeah. You're right. You got to work up to this one. You start them off with Halloween and like everybody else, and
yeah,
you'll get
work,
around to this one.
yeah,
Yeah,
work your way down.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
All right. Mika is chiming in. She said that you sold it to me, especially that having to watch it more than once. Lovecraftian sold me as well, and that is also an experienced horror watcher. So I completely understand that she would be kind of into this.
Yeah, I can see both of them maybe liking this movie a lot. I hope so, at least.
Yeah, yeah. And matter of fact, let me know, Mika and Kira, with when you watch it. Let me know how you guys feel about it. If you like it, you don't like it, and we can definitely talk about it. All right, I'm gonna get ready to switch over to the other movie. KB, you are welcome to hang out as long as you like. If you got to go, just hop on out and let us know.
Yeah,
And we're gonna
I
we're
I
gonna
I said my piece. I came. I surprised.
okay.
I created a smile. That's all I wanted to come in and do. Um, just to let everyone to know, KB loves movies. I am doing this crazy thing right now, having 31 conversations in 31 days. We are on the back end of the month, and tomorrow night we're gonna have Kat from Reanimate Her. If you never heard of her, you never heard of her channel, great content, great YouTube stuff. She's also a Twitch person. So yeah, come and hang out. Should be at I want to say 7 p.m. Eastern, my old Wednesday night time. So come and check it out. Come hang out. Should be fun.
All right. I love the hat, by the way. Love the
Got to
hat.
represent the pit, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you decide to hop on out, definitely either keep watching or check the replay because we're gonna talk some Asian horror right now.
Ooh, good times, good times. Yeah,
Oh,
enjoy the rest of it.
all right, we will do.
All right, have a good night.
I see you later, man.
All right, bye, Caprice.
Bell, bell, bell.
Yes.
Slick.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You didn't think I would turn it back around on you, did you?
No, I did it. Yeah.
That was cool though. So,
It
and
was.
I'm happy he did it. He's always gracious. So,
I love KB with this. I love to see his face, so automatically smile.
oh yeah, love Cat so much.
Yeah.
And they're saying bye to KB. All right, so let's go ahead. We are going to get to the other movie, and the other movie I mentioned we're going to talk some Asian horror. So this is the part where everybody in the chat goes, "I've never seen that one. I've never heard of that one. I don't know that one." That's okay. It's cool. We're going to talk about it anyway. The movie is actually originally it was made as a short, and the short is in this horror anthology, Three Extremes, and it looks like you have it by itself.
Mm-hmm.
Here, the one I have, it comes with it, so it's the short over the anthology over here, and then Dumplings by itself as a full length feature.
Mm-hmm.
So the movie Dumplings is about we have a woman who's been married for a really long time to a same man, and he seems to be losing interest in her. She knows he has a wandering eye and possibly has some other women out there. She's pretty much aware of it, and she thinks it's because her beauty is waning, so she's looking for the fountain of youth like everybody else. And she finds a young lady who specializes in youth restoring dumplings. She makes youth restoring dumplings. And part of the mystery of this whole movie is what are the ingredients of these dumplings? And we spend a lot of the movie in this lady's apartment. And I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. I'm going to pull up the character names here. Mrs. Lee is our character who is married, and is it May, played by Bai Ling? A lot of you might be familiar with Bai Ling. She's done a lot of American movies. She is the
Yeah.
lady who makes the dumplings.
Yeah.
And we spend a lot of the time in her apartment watching her make dumplings while she's chit-chatting up with Mrs. Lee. And we go some other places and do some other things. But we're really trying to find out is what is in these dumplings. About halfway through, we sort of find out.
Mm-hmm.
And then it keeps kind of getting worse after that. So this is definitely psychological horror. This is not a huge body count kind of thing. Not one, that's going to give you a bunch of jump scares. You may have nightmares at the end of it because of what's going on. So let's go ahead and start with that. What did you think of Mrs. Lee, our person who wanted these dumplings, who wants to regain her beauty from her youth?
The character herself.
Yeah.
I sympathized with her. Yeah, I sympathized with her a lot. Especially after finding out, that the husband is, he's gone all the time, and ultimately he's cheating. So you feel for her. She's a very relatable character to some people. I watching her in the beginning, they didn't really give you a lot on her right away. So you kind of had to follow through and just kind of watch it. Near the end, though, I mean, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, in the beginning, you felt for her. You really did. You were kind of just like, man, that really sucks. And the fact that she knew it, She was kind of like, I know that he's doing something. He's always gone. There's a scene where it was their anniversary in the very beginning. It's their anniversary, and she is like, she was like, oh, we're gonna. I think she says to the lady making the, oh, we're gonna go out or something like that. Or no, it was her assistant, and he
Yeah.
calls and is like, oh yeah, I'm going out of town, and she's like, well, you said we were gonna go out for our anniversary, and he was like, oh, here's a check, like go
Mhm.
shop. And it was at that point where she was kind of like, she knew what was going on. We know, women know when your husband changes, something's not right. So you felt for her.
Yeah,
I think so
I
though.
will agree with that. Yeah, I felt bad for her. She was just looking for ways to make it better.
Yeah.
Just looking for ways to make it better. Um,
Mm.
so, and I'm not gonna bother asking about Mr. Lee because we know that he's a piece of crap. Um, but our other main character, played by Bai Ling, the dumpling lady,
Hmm.
mm, is she a villain?
I wouldn't call her a villain.
Okay.
I really wouldn't. Um, her backstory. I forgot who she was saying it to, or where it was brought up, what the conversation was. But
She
they're
kind of gave
explaining.
pieces of it throughout the movie. She gave pieces of it here and
Yeah,
there. A lot of it to Mrs. Lee, and then she did when she eventually met Mr. Lee. She gave a lot to him too.
yeah. So ultimately, she's a retired gynecologist,
Hmm.
and she was doing, you know, back then, especially in China, they had a limit on how many children you could have. And
Yeah.
so it was one per household. And so she was performing, you know, abortions. And it's funny though, when she first pops on screen, she's all, she's covered in flour and she's got like these super colorful clothes on and she's got those big clogs and she's just kind of wiping her nose all the time and she seems very carefree and kind of hippie-ish,
Yes.
she's just kind of doing her own thing. And how they're just what is the connection here? Like what is she making? She's making these dumplings in that first opening scene and you're kind of look Bill, I swear to God, I was looking at those things and I'm like, what the hell is that? I was like, that is no shrimp I've ever seen. Like, what the hell? Then as I started like hearing, reading more and looking more into it, I was like, there's no way. There's no way. No way in hell. I was like, this is not about to happen right now. And it did.
And it did. It
It did.
absolutely did. Now,
Mhm.
I'm glad you brought up the covered in flour and kind of wiping her nose and rubbing her feet all the time, because I'm sitting there watching this, and this is the second time that I've seen it. I hadn't seen it in a few years, so second time that I've seen it, and I'm looking at this. I'm like, I know what's in the dumplings already, but I'm like, all right, let's say it was like regular dumplings. Let's say it is shrimp.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to eat at her house. She's got
Right.
way too much happening with this.
Oh no. And the lady when she first goes in there, they've got the part where they sit at where she brings the dumplings to him, and then she kind of peeks around the corner in the doorway, and you just see havoc, like in
Yes,
this lady's kitchen. But she's like, she says to her from the other room, she's like, "Oh, I've heard that yours are the best," and I'm like, that sounds like pretty much any Asian restaurant I've ever gone to. Somebody has said that, and I was kind of like, okay, okay. But then I was like, who did you hear that from?
yeah,
Like, who did you hear that from? And then later on, when you kind of find out, I definitely was like, who did you hear this from? Like,
exactly, exactly. You kind of have to know somebody to find out some things like this.
oh yeah. And ugh. Like when she takes the first bite of the dumpling when she first brings it out, and she
Hmm.
has that reaction,
Yeah,
and she goes, I really started to question it when she was kind of like, don't think about what it is, think about what it does.
exactly.
And I had an
Exactly.
eye twitch moment. I swear to God, my whole left side kind of went numb, like I had a stroke. And I'm like, no, no,
Yep. Yep.
like, no, I
So
don't
for
want to
people,
know.
yep, for people out there in the chat, we're gonna try not to spoil what's in these dumplings because I especially if you like Asian horror, I do want you to go check this out,
Yes,
and I want you to have that same surprise the first time each of us saw this movie
yes.
because yeah, you really are like,
Mm,
it's
no,
it's gonna be a no. Let's see if has anybody seen this movie. Let's check out out there in the chat. Love Asian horror, says Nika. So yeah,
I,
go for it.
she said, oh my God, what are they eating?
Steve says I don't know that one. And yeah, there
Oh,
you go. This is one we've wanted to see. Yeah. Yeah.
see it.
Love
Well,
that synopsis.
wait till you see it.
Yeah, wait till you see it. Says yes, the one childhood. Yes, that was definitely a thing.
It was a thing.
Oh
I
my
don't know.
god, what are they eating? I'm intrigued. Oh yeah, you gotta go. You gotta see. You gotta see. And finally, Steve says, I just picked it up on the Voodoo. Oh, cool, Steve. Let me know how you like it. Let
Mm-hmm.
me know how you like it. All right. I'll say this, and sometimes it's hard to gauge acting in a foreign language movie because of the language. You kind of concentrating on picking up the subtitles and the picture at the same time. Performances can sometimes get a little bit lost.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I really enjoyed actually both ladies' performances in
Me
this.
too.
Were
Me
you
too.
able to pick up on that or no?
I did. The lady making the dumplings, like I said to me, she was like very carefree. She was just kind of doing her own thing. She was very charming to me.
Yes.
And that's a word that I use often when I describe somebody, but she just gave off a very charming, like she's the cool auntie. Like everybody comes to her for things, and she's just rad, right? The other lady, she's a little bit more reserved and she's a little bit more quiet, and you can tell that she's a little bit, maybe a little bit more timid, but you know that she's there for a reason, and you can gauge that. But just like I would have to say though that the one what was her name,
Hmm.
Mrs. Lee, her facial expressions are some of the best that I've seen.
Oh, it was
Like
gold.
it is gold, especially after that that first fight. I was like, oh, like she sold it. She
Oh
sold
yeah.
it.
All right.
But no, I love both ladies.
I'm gonna put that picture back up of
Yeah,
her,
look at the
and
face.
that face. That's actually not even one of her better faces.
It's
Actually,
not. It's not.
there was some much better looks that she was given
Yep.
throughout the
Look at her.
movie.
Look at her choke that one back. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. She did that a lot throughout the movie, and yeah, her facial expressions were perfect. Bai Ling, who was making the dumplings, and
Mm-hmm.
that flitty attitude that you were talking about, that just worked so perfect, so well
Mm-hmm.
throughout the whole movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it was it was a joy just watching the two of them kind of go back and
Mm-hmm.
forth.
Like
Now,
how she has her singing hour.
mhm,
Like who does that? Like who does that? But that's what
right.
made her so fun.
Yep, yep. She had to. It was time to sing.
I'm saying,
So at some point, though, Mrs. Lee finally ducks her head around into the kitchen, and sees what's happening, or at least partially sees what's happening. What do
mhm.
you think was going to happen there? Did you pick up on what was going to happen then, or yeah, just what do you think about that whole situation?
So I had already figured it out before that scene. I had
Right.
already figured it out. Um, and I'll tell you though, the scene right before that with the teenager,
Yes.
that one was rough. Um,
Yes.
like I said, I don't want to, like you said earlier, we don't want to give away too much. But like I said before, the lady is a retired gynecologist. And I know that gynecology is a huge fear for some ladies. It really is. I know it's one of mine. Um, and that scene actually for me was kind of hard to get through. But when she peeks through that door, man, that just cemented everything. When she kind of like peeked through it and saw what she saw,
Hmm.
man, I was kind of like, and you like I had another screaming at the TV moment where I was like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah. So
no.
yeah, I don't want to tell what's happening with the teenager because that might give it away.
Yeah,
Um,
no,
but that was a tough scene to get through, and
no.
they had the camera so close.
They did. I was kind of like, are they gonna show? Are they gonna show it? Like I was
Yeah,
kind of like, am I about to see that? But it, her house is so weirdly like set up. Like when they're doing that, there's like a window pane like that she's
yeah,
putting her hands through, and I'm just like, this little apartment can't handle this. Like this
right.
is not sanitary. They're in the kitchen with all the flour. Like,
Yeah. Oh, well, sanitary was out the window right at the beginning of the movie.
oh,
For
I'm good.
I
There's
was
gonna
like,
be flour on everything.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
flour on everything. No matter what you do, there's flour on it.
Just gonna throw white powder all over everything.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So that was kind of out the door, and we're having we're kind of having a good laugh at this one. It's different from the other movie we talked about because the other movie you're kind of intense and you're kind of in it. And this, I thought there was a lot of dark humor. Did you feel the same?
I did, especially with this lady. Like she is one of those very nonchalant, carefree characters that you can't help but laugh at because she just, to her, this is completely fine. This is normal. This is, part of life. And there's even one point in the movie where the chick is like super mad at her and she's like yelling at her on the phone. And she says,
Mhm.
"Oh, go ahead and, tell everybody what you've been eating." Like, I was kind of like, oh,
Uh
oh,
huh.
like she went there, like, and I was like clapping at the TV. I was like, oh, she's that beat. Like,
Oh yeah.
he's
See,
like, okay, you're gonna tell on me. I'm gonna, tell everybody what you've been doing.
exactly,
She is
exactly.
sassy, and that's what made her so fun.
Yep.
But I
Mika
definitely
was
got the
talking.
dark humor.
Oh yeah. Mika was talking about the face, and then of course she said you have sold me on this one as well. So
Cool.
this is one I always say, look, you wanted something a little weird, a little out there, a little different. Go ahead and check this one out, and then get back to me. You might be
Okay.
mad at me at the end, but it's okay. So we move on to the end, and again, without giving it away, did you think it was going to end that way?
I did not. I didn't. I was actually surprised to tell you the truth because like I said, I empathized with her in the beginning. I was kind of like, man, all this stuff going on with her husband, she's, women have this thing where they, feel like they need to, they can't age and that, aging is not graceful and, you lose your beauty at one point and nobody wants you. And this lady is at that stage in her life where she feels like she's losing everything because she's doing something so natural as just aging that she feels like her life is falling apart. And so you empathize with that because women will try anything to to not naturally age, which to me is kind of ridiculous. And a lot of it is in age and culture. Um, and so when it got towards the middle to the end, after that scene that we were just talking about, um, I was surprised at the kind of violent turn it took and how she to me kind of turned into the villain. Like the person who had been doing this the whole movie, I didn't see her as a villain at all.
Right.
But when it shifted into what it shifted into, I was like, she just turned into the villain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, this is different. Like, and just how it ended. I was kind of like, wow, that got dark real quick. Like, like, especially with who it was with. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
I was, ooh,
So,
okay,
yeah, I was like, well, it was dark a long time before that, before me. But then I was like, this got darker.
dark. Yeah, plot twist for sure. Like, like,
Yeah, I mean, plot twist for sure. Plot twist for
mhm.
sure.
And an
Um,
unexpected one. And I love that about that. It was so unexpected.
right, it was, and that was one of my favorite things. What really makes this movie kind of stand out for me is that right at the end we get that
Yep.
kind of
Look at it.
switcheroo, and it's like, oh, and then the next thing you know, it's one of those where the credits start rolling. You go, oh wait, we really ended it right there,
Yeah,
just
that's
right
what
there.
it is. Hmm.
And
I'm not, yeah, blown.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, any other aspects of the movie that you wanted to bring up, or that I didn't bring up?
I mean, not really. I would say though, I did love the cinematography in this movie. There are
Hmm.
actually some really beautiful like land shots in this movie. Um, there's the I think it's the hospital. They do a shot where it's like from the very top, and both ladies actually do the same shot where they're looking down, and
Yes,
it's just this really spiral hospital, very beautiful shot.
yes.
Even the shots of what looks like it might be some kind of slum that she's living in,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
very well depicted. When you go from the slum into the rich area where um, this Mrs. Lee is living. You know, it's very night and day. And they contrasted that really well. Especially with that shot with the husband when he's staying in the hotel. They show the landscape; it's all beautiful and green, and then you get to the shot where the slums is, and it's kind of smoky. It's a little bit dirty, but it's very there's a lot of colors and lights. So it really showed a really nice contrast of the two areas. But yeah, some of the shot work in this is amazing. Like what Dell said earlier about the one scene that we don't want to like get too much in with you guys because we don't want to ruin anything. But he said it got so close. It really did. But the cinematography, the shot work, this actually had a really good score to it as well.
Hmm.
I liked a lot of the music. There wasn't too much in it. It was very subtle, but still very, very good. Um, um, yeah, and the husband is a jerk.
Yes, he absolutely is. Um,
Yeah.
Cinematography, I do want to touch on that. I'm glad you brought it up. For me, all those things you mentioned are absolutely true. But I also really like, and we've talked a lot about this apartment, is they did a great job of selling you how small it was.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you're in her living room, and in a lot of movies, TV shows, the camera's kind of pulled back, but you don't always see the walls. So
Yeah.
you never. It's hard to get a sense of how big a room is sometimes.
Mhm.
In this, you almost always see both walls
Yeah.
in her living room. So it's like I'm using my hands to show the walls, but you
Yeah.
almost always see both walls, and it kind of gives us this cramped feeling. And I thought that kind of aided to how Mrs. Lee was feeling. Also, it was like she's
Yeah.
feeling like pushed into this spot. She's cramped in the spot where she has to do something extreme to get out of it.
Mhm.
And the solution is something she's not 100% sure if she should be doing or not. And that's
Mhm.
kind of why it's behind the next wall in around the corner in the kitchen. And I thought they did a
Mhm.
really, really good job of showing that throughout the movie. That was a fantastic thing. I really thought so.
Yeah. One thing about the story that I still in my head, I'm still thinking about it, is how she originally gets those first two or three batches of dumplings in different ways. Like one is in a soup, one is like steamed, and then she's saying, "I need something stronger." So
Yeah,
I'm kind of like, wait a minute, like, how do you know that that is gonna be the strongest thing that you're gonna give this chick? Like, how do you know that? Like, how many ranges has this gone through before you figured
exactly.
this out?
How much trial
Like,
and error have we done?
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that I think would make for an interesting, maybe a part two. But yeah, that's one thing in my head. I'm kind of just like, how do you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The most potent stuff they call it. She calls it the most potent stuff.
Oh, and then when she's getting into the um, description of it, I was kind of like, okay, okay. I kind of get that now. Now that I've thought about it and like
Yeah.
into it, I've actually watched it 3 times.
Okay.
Uh, now that I've gone back in a few times, like it's kind of like, okay, that part makes sense. But again, how do you know in comparison to other ones, older ones?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get it, and I'm with you. Yeah, how much trial and error has this gone through? You know, who told you this, or how did you figure this out in the first place? Where did this come from? So all that's kind of a mystery. It's one of those things where the American in me wants a prequel or something to kind of explain
right?
it to me,
I
but
want the
then
backstory.
right, but then
Mhm.
I'm like, on the other hand, I'm like, you know what? The mystery's probably better because I don't want to know what they had to do to figure this out.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that would set up for a pretty. That would be a pretty. I feel like a very intense body horror movie.
Yeah, that could be pretty gruesome.
That could be pretty gruesome, and I can see that being pretty bad. So I agree with you, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, maybe we do.
Maybe
Like,
we do want it, right? Yeah, I get it. I totally understand it.
just
I
because I
totally.
want to see her again. Like, I
Oh,
want to see her again. You know,
mhm.
I liked her. Like, I
Yeah,
didn't see her as a villain.
and that's the hard part about it is that you find out what she's doing, and you figure out what she's doing as the movie's going on, and you know that you shouldn't like her.
Yeah, you shouldn't. You really shouldn't. Like, think about just on the ethics point of view, what she's doing is kind of unethical. But at the same time, you're kind of like, this is already something that was disregarded.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
is it really like, sure, we might not like it, but is she doing it just for this? No, this was already something that was disregarded. So
Right.
that's why I don't see her as a villain. But the other one, I can't say the same thing for.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and you've kind of given it away a bit, but let's go ahead and give your overall thoughts on it as far as how much you liked it or disliked it or anything like that. So anything else you wanted to touch on, go for it.
Okay, so when you sent me over the list, it was pretty funny. Like, my fear was that I was gonna send you over a list of movies that you've already seen. It turns out it was the other way around. I had seen everything on your list but this, so it kind of I was kind of like, okay, now I have a reason to watch Dumplings, which it had already been on my list for something that I was doing from my own channel the beginning of the end of last year. So I had this on my list already. I just hadn't brought myself to watch it because, to be honest, a lot of Asian horror movies just kind of aren't my forte. A lot of the time they're kind of over the top, and there's just a lot going on, and that's just kind of not my thing. So it's not that I didn't want to watch this movie. I was just kind of waiting for the right time, and then here was the opportunity to do it. Um, I'm so glad that I did. And I'm glad that I watched it for this. Um, this movie caught me by surprise. Most of the fact that I liked it so much that I actually bought my own copy of it. Um, it was not what I was expecting it to be, and it's very rare because I've seen so many horror movies. I feel like I'm kind of desensitized by it. Um, this movie still caught me by surprise, not just because of the ending, which is I won't go there. Um, but just the story itself was very well done. The acting, very well done. Like I said, the person that you're supposed to hate, you actually love. And then the person that you empathize with and feel for, by the ending, you're kind of just like, bitch, like, like it's like what just happened there? And it was just so well done. I wasn't bored at all. I was glued to the TV while I was watching it. I wasn't messing around with my phone. It actually held my attention, which horror movies nowadays, it's kind of up and down for me. Some of them are so good, some of them are bad. But I'm so happy that I got the opportunity to finally watch this. And I gotta say, Del, this was kind of a home run for me. This may be entering in maybe top 10 for me. Um, Maybe pushing out some other stuff, but yeah, this here you need to recommend to more people, especially if you know that they can maybe handle it. I can definitely handle it. I'm okay. I'm fine. But yeah, this has got some imagery for some people that might be like kind of problematic, but um, all in all, this is like a 9 out of 10 for me, guys. And you guys know that that's really, really rare for me to do. So thank you so much for recommending it.
Wow, I will take it. A 9 out of 10. I like it. I will definitely take that. It was home run for me too, obviously, but that's why I recommended it. Um, I'm very happy that you enjoyed it because it's one of those ones where you recommend it, but you're not sure how the other person is going to deal with it.
And I completely understand why. I get it. It's like I said, that subject matter, especially for some females, is a legitimate fear. But because of how the story is told, and you kind of need that little tidbit to go forward with it. It's really quick. It goes by fast. It's not like a long scene. But the story overtakes that, and the characters are so well done and so well acted. You're just caught in the moment, and you're just like, what's happening? What's happening? Like, oh my god, is this really happening? And then by the time you're like, oh my god, it is. Like, it's over. It's fairly quick.
Yeah,
Um, but these characters, you just feel so much for them. Even the jerk husband, at some points, you're like, oh, okay, well, he's coming around. You're just like, okay, that maybe that she's happy, she's cool, maybe they're not. But these two women, dude, their acting was on point. And like I said, I would be more than happy to see a prequel. Maybe what happened afterwards with the other lady. I would love to see the two ladies again. The two ladies made this movie for me.
they absolutely did. They absolutely did. It, it's almost to the point where if they never show Mr. Lee, you could still have a really good movie.
For sure. Like, he did not need to be there at all. I know he's a pivotal part of the story,
Right.
but but no, these two ladies stole the show. And Dell, the end with with the
Yes.
lady. Like, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it, but I hope you know what I'm talking about. When they're sitting in the restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
her whole overall look changed, and you just knew. You
Yep.
just knew that this was not going to end how you wanted it to, and it was going to be bad. And you were just
Yes.
like, oh no, like, why?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Why is right? Why is right? The whole time I'm sitting, why? And then when it ends, why? Yeah, you
I had
absolutely.
I had a total yelling at the TV moment, and I was like, I was rooting for you. Like, I was rooting for you. And I was like, oh, I had, like, literally, I watched it on a day when nobody was here. I was by myself. I figured I had to be. And so I was sitting here watching it. And literally, I was yelling at my TV. I got a knock on the door, and I thought it was end credits. And I was just sitting here. I got a knock on the door. I answered the door, and it was the Amazon delivery guy. And he's like, everything good? Because I was yelling at the TV. I was
Well,
like, I'm good, man. And he asked me what I was watching, and I showed it to him, and he said he had never heard of it. And he was like,
of
well,
course.
maybe I'll have to check that out. He's like, maybe I can take out, he said, maybe I could take out some unaggression, take out some aggression. And I was like, yeah, maybe.
Well,
I gotta go.
I'll say this. At least we know the Amazon driver cares.
He cared. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. And I'm
I
not
think,
at all surprised he had never heard of it.
you know, what's funny, Del? I hear it. I hear it a lot. But when I ask people, have you seen it? Like, tell me about it. They haven't seen it, but they've heard of it,
Right.
which was odd for me. So it was kind of different within the Mouth of Madness. Like when I bring that up, there's a group of people. Yeah, I've seen it. But like I said, it's either you love it or hate it. But this one, you hear about it a lot. But I have never met anybody who's actually seen it, but you.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
far, so far.
I think I think KB has seen it. I seem to recall us talking about it when I brought it up on Ryan's stream. We were on that stream together. I
Mhm.
think he had said he had seen it. So we at least one other, maybe Ryan has also seen it. So at least a couple other people have
Yeah,
seen it.
I wouldn't be
Um,
surprised. If Ryan, yeah, Ryan, KB, most likely yes. We haven't talked about it, so Ryan
right,
for sure.
right. So yeah, there are a few of us out there who have seen it, and now
Mm,
I'm glad you are joining our club.
yes.
Uh, let's take one more run through the chat before we put it to bed tonight. And Mika says we'll definitely try to get in both films this month.
Yes, please, please, and then let me know. Let us both know. Actually,
Absolutely, let us both know. I love this dichotomy of characters. There was that, yes, and I'm glad that you were able to get a sense of that because that is basically the bulk of the movie is the difference between these two women and the back and forth between them.
mm.
Tiana is here. Hey, Tiana. Coming in towards the end, but better late than never. So glad you're here. And she got Caprice with all the hearts. Aw. And we just got some there we go. Scared the Amazon driver, LOL.
I think I did. I thought I have to be more aware of my door and who's at it while I'm
I,
yelling.
we get caught up sometimes. It's okay. It's okay. We just got some haze back and forth with Tiana and Laren. This was great. Thanks to you both. Good night, everyone. Good night, Laren. And yep, that's gonna do it for us. Well, I do have one other question for you. I mentioned right at the beginning that you had started a YouTube channel, and I know you really haven't done a whole lot with that. Any plans of going back with that, or was that enough for you?
Oh no. So I'm still doing it. Um I had a funny thing is, I had made the introduction video and at the end of the introduction video I had a whole layout for this. I've talked about this with KB on a couple of occasions. And so I am still doing um most extreme horror movies, most disturbing movie list. I'm still doing that. I had filmed the video though. I had filmed the first video, the first chapter, and I had set. A lot of you guys saw it on my Instagram. I was like, on my birthday, May 18th, this is coming out. Oh my God. See, I'm getting flustered just talking about it. So I had recorded like an hour, almost an hour long video of my first chapter, and it was going to be most extreme. Um, this was found footage videos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just going in, putting the final touches on everything. I was so happy with it, Del. It was perfect. It was everything I wanted to be. Guess what happened?
Oh, yeah, we had some technical problems, huh?
Mm. So I was going through and I was editing everything. I don't even know how it happened. I had deleted 25 minutes of my video.
Oh,
25 minutes of the video gone. Um, Audio, visual gone. The only thing that was left were the pop ups that I had, and that was it. Don't even know how it happened. Couldn't go
man.
back, couldn't get it back. And so I remember telling KB about it the day of my birthday. And KB was like, it's okay. He's so positive and he's so sweet. And he was just like, it's okay, honey. You can record another one. You can make it
Yeah.
again. And so I've tried to make it again. But that video in my head was so perfect. It was exactly how I wanted it. Everything that I've made after that doesn't look right to me. And so instead of doing the one for found footage, I've actually started a one for a different chapter. I'm
Okay.
going to a different area. And so that video is actually coming very soon. So it's going to be my first one and I actually have a 2 top 5 videos that are going to come soon too. Those ones are going to be themed as well. But I would say probably maybe by the end of the month, look for something coming up on my channel. I will post about it, and then it'll finally be like up and going. But it literally devastated me, and that's why nothing has really gone on the channel. But I've been on, obviously I've been on everybody's stuff and been doing things, so it's there. It's just waiting for the upload. So
Okay. Well,
it's coming.
I'll say this. I mean, it happens to us all. So just and going to a different subject is probably the best thing for now. You can just kind of get it out of your system, and if you're ready to come back to it at another time, that'll be great. Uh, I don't know if you're familiar with Plat X2, John's channel.
Hmm.
He did the challenge last month. He
Hmm.
wanted everybody, how many years consecutively does your collection go back? Every year. Do you have a movie from every year?
Hmm.
And I did that video. I actually made it. And when you're doing a video like that, it took hours to pull out all the movies and then set up the camera, do the video. Hours to
Hmm.
not quite hours, but took some time then to put it all back. And then when I went to edit it, half the video was just not there. It was like I got to the end of it and it just froze and stopped completely. So I
Yeah.
get it, and I haven't redone that video yet. I plan on doing it, but I just haven't gotten back to it yet. So I hear you. I understand. It happens. It does
Yeah. So, like, you're 100% right. Going to a different, it's still the same, same thing. Extreme horror movies, most disturbing movies. It's still that, just moving the chapters around a little bit, just because I don't
happen.
want to focus on that one bad experience. I don't want it to mess with the other ones.
Right.
So you guys will see which one's coming up next. It's not going to be the original one. It's not going to be the found footage one. That one's going to come later. I've focused completely on a different subject that I'm actually really excited about. So that video is going really well. So like I said, look look for it. I'm
Right.
gonna be dropping that. I don't want to give a date when, but
No, just when it's out there, let us know.
mm-hmm.
All right, and yeah, we got some sympathy here from Mika and Laren will be there when you're ready. So absolutely.
My
Um,
Laren.
since we're at that part of the show and you've already been talking about it, you want to let the people know where they can follow you in the meantime.
Absolutely. If you're not following me already, my channel is called Draculina Horror. That's on YouTube and Instagram. I do have quite a few things still going on for this month. This is just the very beginning of it. Um, for the next few Tuesdays in this month, I have something going on. What's the next one? I think the next one is actually on the 17th. And I'll let you guys know. I'm sure he won't mind. I'll be with KB. So I'll be a returning guest on the conversation, and I'm so excited for you guys to see what we're going to be talking about, what we're going to be doing. So that'll be the next appearance. So I'll go ahead and post about that as soon as KB lets me know that I can. But yeah, that's the next thing coming up. I will let you guys know on my Instagram what I'm up to next after that. And so yeah, go ahead and give me a follow on there, and then see what I'm up to.
All right, I'm gonna ask you to. You think you might have the date because today's the 17th. You said the 17th.
I'm sorry. I'll have to double check with KB. I think it might be the 20 something. I'm sorry. I
Okay.
forgot today's date. I think it's the 22nd. Might be the 22nd. I'll have to double check that. But again, check the socials because I'm going to post about it.
Yes, and the socials are in the description. If you're catching the replay, the socials are in the description to this video, both YouTube and Instagram. And it's really Draculina Horror, so you can keep up with her that way.
Mhm.
We have one more comment, which was Mika's, and she says, "Yes, Caprice, it happens. Looking forward to your next video." Absolutely. As for this channel, we are right now planning to be back next week on the 24th with Vinicio the Horror Cholo. And then we are also planning to be here Halloween night with
Oh,
Floyd House Flicks.
nice,
Nice.
Floyd.
Yep.
I
And
love the.
then we're gonna spooky season in November, and I'm gonna need a little bit of a break. So we're gonna have on my first guest from the Down Under. We're gonna have on comic book
Nice.
movie collector, and we're actually not gonna talk comic books, but I'll let you get close. Let you guys know what we're gonna talk about when we get closer, because I think that's an episode that a lot of you might really enjoy. So but that's all I have for you guys on this one. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thank you, Caprice, for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Like I said, I've been wanting to do this for a while, so I'm so glad I got to do it, especially during spooky season.
Absolutely. And we might have to do this when it's not spooky season. Just talk some other movies, or if we talk more spooky movies and it's not October, that's fine too.
That's fine too. Anytime, though.
Yeah.
Anytime. You just tell me when and where.
All right. I appreciate that. As for everybody out in the chat, once again, thanks for hanging out with us. Subscribe to Caprice on YouTube. Follow her on Instagram. Subscribe and follow each other out there in the chat. Lots of great content creators come through here. Thanks to and shout out to KB for stopping by for a little bit. Definitely check him out on his 31-day journey for Halloween. And he's having a blast, even though he's really, really, really tired. I know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
exactly. All right,
He's just
that's it,
there.
guys. See you next week. Bye bye.